Hi guys, Amy here with Clay Horse Pottery. I'm going to take a few moments of your time from ClayShareCon. I know it's fabulous, to show you a few tips on how to use a mug plug from Black Squirrel Creations. Today I'm going to show you some tips on the 314. And because I'm going to be manipulating how to apply and how to use in different techniques, I'm going to be using a piece of craft foam rather than clay. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you know what size and shape of mug you are trying to accomplish. Whether it's a shorter, more common mug size or a little overly dramatic tankard. That's going to determine the height at which you cut your clay to. This form is 4.5 inches tall by 12 inches long. And that will create a mug more this shape. If you want a tankard, you're going to go the full height of your mug plug, which is, for the 314, this is 6 inches tall. And then that will create a tankard more like this. Excuse me, I'm got a little bit of a cold I'm fighting here. So anyway, once you have your clay cut, if it's set up enough that you can stand it in a U without it flopping over, this technique will work great for you. You can stand your mug plug up on its end, take your slab, making sure that it's beveled on both ends, opposite directions. You want your one side, your bottom bevel to face out. You want your top bevel to face in, so that when you put them together, you get an even wall. You're just going to wrap like this, folding it over, and then you have your cylinder. You'll then take your finger and at the bottom of your fold or your seam, you're going to go from the bottom, rolling in an upward motion, from bottom to center. From the top, you're going to roll from the top in a downward motion, from the top to the center. And this will keep your clay from getting that unsightly, kind of a pain overlap that you can get sometimes if you're going all the way from the top to the bottom or all the way from the bottom to the top, where you get that little bump. Looks something like this in your clay that you either have to cut off or whatever to get rid of. If you roll from top to center and bottom to center, you eliminate the need for that. The other way to use your mug plug is to lay it on its side. If you lay it on its side on your table, you can then take your slab and you can drape it over your mug plug. Then using my thumb, I just use that to keep my clay body from sliding left to right off of my mug plug as I'm lifting it. And I just use that to kind of hold that in place. And then I wrap my hand around my handle here and I lift that up. I press it into my chest, not a lot of pressure, just enough that it feels sturdy to me. And now it's not going anywhere. I can maneuver and manipulate this and work with this, and it's not flopping all over if I was holding it out just with my hand. So to use that, it's a great feature to use that to stabilize that. Then you're gonna take your hand and you're gonna wrap one side around. So I got my tape stick in there. Try that again. You're going to take one side and wrap that around, and then take your other side and wrap that around, folding your two ends one over the other. Then you're going to take your mug plug and you're going to turn it. And there's that lovely little thing you don't want. So let me just fix that. That's me wrapping blindly. Once you've got your clay formed around your mug plug, you're going to turn it so that your seam faces up so you can see down onto it. And again, you're going to take your finger and roll from the bottom up to your midway point, from your top down to your midway point. And this is going to secure your clay to itself so that it creates that cylinder shape, and when you remove your mug plug, your cylinder doesn't fall apart. From here, you have the option of going ahead and blending out that piece and then taking this out and blending out your inner seams. Putting your mug plug back in, and you can let it set up a little bit on here while you're working on your base. So for me, and I'm just going to show you this quickly, so we're just going to slide this off and pretend it's sitting on a form and getting sturdy. There are two ways to make a base with your mug plug. You can make your base from the bottom of your mug plug and make your template, or from the top of your mug plug to make a template. And yes, they are two different sizes. Because the mug plug is slightly tapered on the bottom, this template is going to be smaller, which means that your sidewall is going to overlap and overhang your base if you use this method. So let me show you what that's going to look like. So let's say we have our wall here. We've used our base to cut our circle for our mug, and now we have this issue where our base now sits inside our wall. That's okay. If you do it this way and you prefer this technique and you like that smaller tapered look, you can still use that. All we're going to do is we're going to put that base back up against us so we've got something to stabilize with. We're going to take our thumbs and we're going to slide that wall just over the edge of our base so that we've created this little lip. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that lip and we're going to fold it over onto our base. And that is how we're going to close our seam. It's harder to do with the foam than with clay. But that's how we're going to close the seam, and we're going to use a thumb or a mud tool or even a pony roller. You can use your pony roller to close that seam up all the way around. So if you use that smaller version of your circle for your base, you're going to have that tapered edge, and it's going to be a little bit smaller than the top part of your mug. And that's okay. You can do that. It's not an issue. The other thing, using this base for a shape, is you're going to notice that it hangs over about 1/8 of an inch. So you have a nice, get it where you can see it, you have a nice little overhang, I can get it centered here, of clay. You have just enough to make a seal. So you can do that in one of two ways. You can flip it upside down, making sure that your wall doesn't slide down your mug plug, and you can wrap it around this way, folding the seam over, or with your pony roller or your potter's thumb or whatever you choose to use, your fingers, doesn't matter, until you have gone all the way around in a circle and created that seal. Or you can do it the way I choose to do it. I take my banding wheel, I take my base from my mug that I've cut from my clay, and I center it to my wheel, and then I center my sidewalls onto my base. And as you can see, we have this nice little overlap of base to our sidewall. Then I like to take one of these little silicone tools or a wood stick, something that has a point, something that you can get, oops, something that has a point or that you can get up underneath of this little lip. Even a mud tool would work. But I like to take it and go just underneath that lip. I'm going to push that lip towards my sidewall and my mug plug. While I'm using the mug plug, I'm going to turn my banding wheel while I'm pressing that lip, that overhang, up into the base of my mug. That's going to give me a nice seal all the way around my mug and eliminates the need to use any kind of coil. Just as long as you've made sure that you've slipped and scored, you'll get a really nice seal with just that little bit of overhang. And the only tool you've used so far, other than your hand tools, is your mug plug. Once you've accomplished that, you can move on to applying your handles, which are great with the mug plug because you have this nice stable piece inside of your clay wall to keep you from pushing your mug handle and denting in your wall. The other thing that I have found extremely useful with leaving my mug body on my mug plug as I'm applying my handle is not just for that rigid surface for applying, but also for my alignment. Because the mug plug's handle is centered, you can now center your mug handle with your mud tool, or I'm sorry, with your mug plug onto your piece. So you will see if it's tilting this way or it's tilting this way, or if the whole thing's copping a lean. If you line it up with the center of the handle of the mug plug, it is centered with the handle. The handle is centered on your mug. So that's another great feature that I love. You don't get that with a lot of other forms. I hope that these tips have helped you in forming your mug using the mug plug. If you get a chance, be sure to stop by Mug Plugs, Black Squirrel Creations, and check out some of their other wonderful tools, like the rim rounder, which is great for adding some sexy shapes to your mugs. You get some nice curvy features from your rim. You can use it to cave the rim in and just give it a slight curve, especially on a bellied out rim. It's a nice little lady shape that you can give it. Check out their tool for making spouts for teapots. It has a fabulous little anvil end that you can use. You can press that into the base of a mug to create like a concave and give you a really nice fake foot. They've got the teacup and other little tapered shapes for tumblers and such. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today for the different ways that you can use your mug plug, and I really hope that you're enjoying the rest of ClayShare. Thanks guys for watching, and happy making.